I can't believe we've made it to NFL Week 5 already. I did
Dude.
see I think the graphics going around. I think we have an NFL or college game every day from now until like November 27th. So
Also known as the best time of the year.
it is. It's the greatest, especially like the worst time of the year being July when we have nothing going on. So that feels like honestly like 2 weeks ago that we had that. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for some action for college and into all the NFL stuff. Like I love it.
It's an exciting week, man. How about the Lions, dude? Was that game not awesome on Monday night?
It was great. It was so
Uh,
good. Lions
when
at
they are
home.
at their best, I don't know if there is a more complete team. The
I would
challenge
love
is that they don't play their best all the time.
for them to beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. That would be a great matchup. Everyone in this country would be a Lions fan if you're not
Oh
a
yeah,
Taylor Swift or Chiefs fan for sure.
100%. Kelsey and I were talking about it the other night. Do you think there's a more loved coach in the NFL than Dan Campbell right now?
No,
No, not even
no.
close.
Every person would run, man, woman, and child would run through a wall for Dan Campbell.
Absolutely.
We love that man. All right. Let's dive in though. We have NFL game picks to start, and then we'll get into some player props. Let's start with this Thursday night game. We got your Falcons playing the Buccaneers at home. I'm just gonna go ahead and take the Falcons on the money line here. You can get at minus 125, even though they're 2.5-point favorites currently. Honestly, the Bucs are out 5 starters. They look really bad against the Broncos a couple weeks ago. Falcons have been, I think, just showing some resilience to start the year. Maybe it hasn't been perfect, but like this is a team I liked before the season. I was pretty hyped on the Falcons. And look, we've made it through the first 4 weeks, which are kind of like a lot of teams treat that like the preseason. I'm ready for the Falcons to get going. I'm sure you are as a fan, and I still believe in this team, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I don't think they're going to drop a division game at home.
No, man, I like this a lot. As a Falcons fan, it's been a tough road as a Falcons fan, minus that 1 year that we shall not talk about. So I just am always very cynical towards the Falcons in general. Plus, I have never thought that Kirk Cousins is going to be like the game changer of the franchise. But it's still a good team. They're still learning a lot, a bunch of new coaches, a lot of new changes, and you can kind of see it from week to week coming together better and better every week. So I love it on the money line. I've got a part of a play on this as well and a little bit of a parlay, but I'm taking the first leg of the parlay at Bucks plus 7.5. I'm with you. The Bucks do have some injured players, but they're still really good on offense. They're hot and cold. They're 3-1 and have historically been amazing in conference games. I look back at last year, and there was only one conference game last season that they lost by more than one score, and that was versus the Saints late in the season. And then on the other side, like the Falcons, dude, every game is it's by a shoelace. It doesn't matter who they're playing; it comes down to the last drive of the game every single game. So, I think that trend continues here. I would love to see the Falcons win, but I've also learned that I don't, expect them to win in any situation. So I think the Bucks staying within 7.5 is easy. The other side of that parlay is going to be Panthers plus 10.5 versus the Bears. I'm just going to keep fading Caleb Williams until he proves that I shouldn't do that. It's been a 1-score game again last week. We talked last week how it's been that every single game this year. And the Panthers just look much better with Andy Dalton. They're way more functional. And as a whole, he kind of protects the football. So you're not going to have a big win like Chicago had against the Titans with, all the turnovers and defensive touchdowns and everything, because he just doesn't really turn the ball over that much. So I like the Bucks plus 7.5, Panthers plus 10.5. And that brings it in. I don't have it right in front of me, but it was like
minus 125.
Yeah,
minus
there it is.
125. That's pretty great.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that quite a bit. Yeah, look, like Caleb Williams, I do think is getting better, but I still watched his game this last week, and this dude is missing the most wide open NFL throws that he should be making that he made in college. Like he just like is overshooting guys. He's making all kinds of weird throws. I don't think you can trust him yet.
And they're not complete. Like all of his weapons aren't healthy either, right? Like when he's got everybody, he's got a Dunze, he's got Allen, and he's got DJ Moore. Then I think it's different. But they're just not there yet. It's the offense as a whole just isn't complete at this moment. So
yeah, DeAndre Swift did finally get me a fantasy touchdown this last week. It's about time.
all they
DeAndre
had to
Swift
do was threaten his job for it.
Yeah, yeah, it's been a rough ride thinking DeAndre Swift was going to keep it rolling there. All right, let's move on. I will take us to the next pick. I got the Browns at the Commanders. Give me the Commanders -3. I mean, I don't know how you pick anything against this team with a 3-point spread, especially with how bad the Browns are. The Browns, all 3 of their losses have been by at least 4 points, and they've only beaten the Jags, which is, not a great win. So as long as the Browns, they still don't have Nick Chubb this week, they'll probably have him next week. Which again is going to really bolster my fantasy team, which we should keep talking about my fantasy team. People love that.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. So no Nick Chubb still. He's very unlikely going to play, or if he does, it'll be very limited snaps. Dude, Jaden Daniels is the absolute truth and is going to be better than Caleb Williams, it feels like. I think that this kid is I don't know. I guess I have to give credit to you and Stefan because I don't think that Jaden Daniels is going to be particularly bad. I guess I just thought he was going to get snapped in half at some point, which could still happen.
Still might.
Like, all those throws that I said that Caleb Williams is missing, he is making all of them.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you pick against the Commanders in this game. So
I agree, man. And a lot of that is the Browns are just bad. Like, there's just no other way to put it. They just have not been good. Deshaun Watson is a joke of a quarterback. Did you see his comment when they told him they wanted him to run more? They came to him, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and told him they wanted him to run more, and he said, "No, I'm not a running back." And so, like, I just don't think the culture in the locker room is good either right now. And even like when Nick Chubb gets cleared, I'm not convinced he's going to be healthy enough to play. And so, like, I could see this trend continuing with them. And then the Commanders, they've just been fun, man. What I love so much about Jaden Daniels right now is he's protecting the dang football. Like, he's not turning the ball over. Even when he's making deep throws, they're still safe deep throws. And that's just not something you naturally see with rookie quarterbacks until Stroud last year. So I like this a lot.
Yeah, he totally is Stroud 2.0, giving us a big season from a rookie. Why don't you tell us about your pick for the Ravens and Bengals game?
Yeah, man, I'm taking the over in that game at 50.5. These teams like to score points. The Bengals, we've talked, I think, every week about the Bengals to this point, about how slow they start and then how they eventually come on. And that's what we've seen the last 2 weeks. They've put up 30 plus in both of those games. Burrow's looking more comfortable. He did tweak the ankle last week, but he still finished that game just fine. And Chase is getting more settled in. We're seeing him more involved. He's getting more touchdowns, and Higgins has another week settled in coming back from his injury. So I think the offense continues to gel there, and then their defense is not amazing. And the Ravens are doing the same thing, where they started kind of gross and now they're taking off and they're getting everything out of Henry they wanted to get out of him. So this game went over this number in both of their matchups against each other last year. And so I really like this to hit a 28-24 type game. I love this a lot.
Yeah, my brother hasn't been happy that we keep riding off Derrick Henry. He's not a Ravens fan, but he loves Derrick Henry. So every time Derrick Henry, like, he busts an 89-yard run last game, he literally texted me right away to remind me that we have shit all over Derrick Henry in this show. So
the funniest thing to me about how we treat Derrick Henry is we always say how slow he is. Did you see how fast he hit on that 89-yard one? It was like 21 miles an hour. Like, his single stride is like 3 of anybody else's. So he doesn't have to move fast to run fast.
Yeah, the dude's fine. Bengals, it's so fun. Like, the NFL's funny, man. Like, I'll pick on the Broncos. Like look, the Bengals are what, 1-3. Or they're not 1-4. They're 1-3. And look, like, if you had, like, the Broncos are 2-2, which I think is surprising to a lot of people. But if you had people put a wager on who's more likely to make the playoffs, the Bengals or Broncos, you're picking the Bengals every time.
Every time.
Like, you can't write the Bengals off right now. Too many times they've started the year like this. Wouldn't be shocked to see them get the win at home against the Ravens. All right. My last pick, Giants at Seahawks. And you know what? I actually have this Seahawks -3. So, yeah, I'm taking 2 favorites. But give me the Seahawks to bounce back here. Last week I called them the worst 3-0 team. You guys said it was the Steelers. I still think I was right. They look pretty bad. Seahawks, though, I'm going to take the -3 to bounce back because they're playing the very lowly Giants. You know, when do we see the Giants start to tank this season? And when does Dable get fired? Like, it's that kind of season for them, and they're starting to have those conversations. Like the Seahawks come back home to their, 12th man and all that stuff. I think it's just a bounce back spot. So that's why I'm taking the -3. I don't have like advanced analytics on this one. So
Yeah, I like it. I think you fade the Giants as hard as I fade Caleb Williams every week, and I love it.
I think you're
The
right.
What's interesting is the Giants, they're 1-3, but the NFC East as a whole has looked pretty bad. So I'm
Yeah.
curious how long it goes before Dable starts to have these conversations, or before they start having these conversations with Dable, just because the conference is so bad. I think they can play bad football and stay within it if the Cowboys and Eagles don't figure it out. But no, I'm with you. I like this one a lot as well.
Love it. All right, give us your last pick. You have a Bills pick for us.
Yeah, so for my last pick here on the games, I'm taking the Bills team total over 24.5. Before last week, I would have said that I felt like the Bills were playing better than any other team in the NFL. And then obviously they kind of got pounced on by Derrick Henry last week. And they only put up a total of 10 points. So that kind of got squashed. So I'm calling for a big bounce back game here. Josh Allen kind of has these little dud games from time to time, and then he likes to bounce back. So we're going to bet on that. They were averaging around 25 points per game before last week. And the only two teams that not scored 25 points against Houston were Jacksonville and Chicago. So not exactly prolific offenses here. So I like the Bills to get back on track here and easily get over 24.5.
Love it. Yeah, the Bills have been racking up points. I love that. Any kind of Bills over, I'm a big fan of. All right, let's move on to player props. You have the most props here. Why don't you get us kicked off with your first player prop?
Yeah, let's go Bijan over 25 receiving yards. You can get it at -140. The Bucks have given this up to running backs every game this year, and Bijan has hit this in 3 of 4 games and has gotten at least 4 targets in 3 of 4 games.
Love it.
I love taking the receiving yards for explosive running backs, because oftentimes it only takes one screen and they're there. So give me Bijan over 25 receiving yards.
Yeah, I was looking for an over for Bijan as well. Bijan, as I like to call him. He was the Bucks are like a bottom third team giving up yards to running backs one way or another. So I like that. I'm going to give us another running back. Let's go Josh Jacobs over 65.5 rushing yards here. So the Rams are the worst rushing defense in the NFL, almost by far. The Colts are right next to them, but it's pretty much those two and then everybody else. The Rams give up 165.5 yards a game. So you could say they miss Aaron Donald just a little bit. The best defensive player in the NFL just up and left their team, and they have not figured out a way to stop the run. And Josh Jacobs is having a good year. Go figure. So give me Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, man, I really like this. My fantasy team appreciates it, so thank you. My only concern here is that it feels like he's kind of losing the workhorse role a little bit.
Sure.
And Emmanuel Wilson is really kind of getting into that 50-50 workload, but it's only at 65.5 against the Rams. Like, even at a 50% snap percentage, you got to think he hits it, right?
The good news is the Rams give up enough yards that they could both get over 65.5 rushing yards this game.
No question. No question.
Like, that is in the realm of possibilities. All right, you're going to take the pick that I was so sure about last week, and we have to keep going with it. Tell us about Travis Kelce.
It's coming, damn it. Give me the Travis Kelce anytime touchdown at +115. We saw him get way more involved last week, pre-Rashee Rice injury, and then Rashee got injured and it even exploded more. The entire team, I don't know if you saw it, was warming up in Travis Kelce t-shirts last week after all of the press just completely dumped on him the week before. And so it's coming, man. It's only a matter of time. The Saints have already given up 2 touchdowns to a tight end this year. So I really like it to finally hit and for him to keep rolling. Give it anytime touchdown at +115.
Yeah, and they were force feeding him the ball all game, and they're going to get him a touchdown. They just are. Vegas feels it too. This was +170 last week, and now we get it up +115. Vegas knows what's going on. They weren't going to give that number again. All right. Aaron Rodgers over 223.5 passing yards. Like, oh, but Eric, he looked like shit against the Broncos. He hit 225 against the Broncos in a game where he only scored 9 points. The Vikings give up. The Vikings only give up like 14 points a game, but they give up the most passing yards at 274.5.
Wow.
So Rodgers has hit this in his last 2 games as well. He started slow his first 2. Again, we're going for yardage, not points here. The Vikings give up the most, and give me Rodgers. He's gonna, he's got to come out and prove that, the vaccines don't work or something, some crazy shit like that. I don't know what it is. He's got I'm sure he has a chip on his shoulder, and he's used to playing a team like the Vikings. So
we haven't had enough Aaron Rodgers controversy this year, so something wild's coming.
I can't wait.
Like the Davante Adams trade that's coming up.
Yeah, I can't wait for his like flat Earth theories on like the Pat McAfee show or something along those lines. You're gonna keep riding with Nico Collins though this week.
Man, this man's a machine. I've kind of decided that I'm taking this over until it hits 100 yards or until he doesn't hit it. I'm taking him over at 78.5 receiving yards. He's hit this in all 4 games, and in 3 of the 4 games, he's gone over 100 yards. I get it. They're playing the Bills. It's going to be the toughest defense they've played yet. But they haven't exactly played many prolific passing offenses to really get their stats up. So he was targeted 15 targets last week without Joe Mixon. And I think that's just going to keep coming. They're going to keep feeding the man. And I think you can get Stroud at over 260 passing yards. I really like that. But for now, I'm rolling with Nico over 78.5.
Yep, he is leading the NFL in receiving yards by a large margin. I don't have the number in front of me. It is a lot. Why don't you give us your last 2 here?
Yeah, so the last 2, we're going Jordan Love over 255 passing yards. He's back, and the Packers' offense is back. We saw it kind of take that ramp up last week as soon as he hit the field.
Yep.
He's hit this in both games this year, and 9 out of his last 11 games going back into last year.
That's crazy.
And then the Rams, they gave up 157 yards to Caleb Wilson last year, but it doesn't count because it's Caleb Williams. The week before that, they gave up 292 to Brock Purdy and then 266 to Kyler before that. And this passing attack with the Packers is better than both of those teams. So I'm smashing this one with full confidence. And then my last one is going to be Jordan Mason over 85.5 rushing yards. Mason's also hit this in 3 of his last 4 games. Last week, the Cardinals gave up 100 yards to Brian Robinson, and the week before, they gave up 105 to David Montgomery with an additional 82 to Jahmyr Gibbs. So they're not exactly stuffing the run right now. And if you know anything about the Niners offense, it's that you always take the running backs. I don't care who they're playing, who it is. If it's the 12th string off the street, you play them. So yeah, give me Jordan Mason over 85.5 rushing yards.
Love it. I love these player props this week. I loved them last week. We did pretty good, winning records again. College and NFL, we did it. We were sweating a few of them, but that doesn't matter. They win. A win's a win. So, all right. Don't forget to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, X, wherever you get your podcasts. Hit all the positive buttons, like, subscribe, all of that. This is the part of the show where we run this down, though. Mike, why don't you give us your NFL game picks to start?
Yeah, so I'm starting with a parlay. Give me the Bucks plus 7.5 with the Panthers plus 10.5. You can get that at minus 125. Taking the Ravens at the Bengals game total over 50.5, and then the Bills team total over 23.5 at minus 122.
Lovely. I have the Bucks at Falcons. Give me the Falcons on the money line at minus 125. Give me the Commanders over the Browns at home, minus 3. You can get that at minus 122. And then the Giants at the Seahawks. I'll take the Seahawks minus 3 at minus 112. How about player props?
Yeah, man. Let's go Bijan Robinson Thursday night over 25 receiving yards. Travis Kelce finally getting his touchdown. Nico Collins over 78.5 receiving yards. Jordan Love over 255.5 passing yards. And Jordan Mason over 85.5 rush yards.
I'll take Josh Jacobs over 65.5 rushing yards and Aaron Rodgers over 223.5 passing yards against the Vikings. That's it. That's how we're going to make money this week. We will see you all over at the College Football Show, and we'll talk to you later.
Deuces.